Legends, champions, and GOATs. That is what I want to talk about in my final thoughts because I have wrestled with this a lot, and I think that honestly, there are three types of greats in the MMA world, in the UFC world, whatever it may be: legends, champions, and GOATs. Greatest of all time, not farm animals. I think, in my opinion, there are champions, okay? You've got fighters like Cody Garbrandt. You've got fighters like Frankie Edgar. You got fighters like Anthony Pettis. Fighters who have held a UFC title at one point. Whether they held it for a day or whether they held it for 10 years, they will be known as a former UFC champion, which is huge, okay? Then you have UFC or MMA legends. These are the guys that you tell your kids about. These are the types of guys that you're angry that you weren't able to watch because you were too young. And there are a few of those for me, like Chuck Liddell. You know what I'm saying? People like that. But legends, in my opinion, are of the likes of Nate Diaz. Huge personality, lots of wins, very talented fighter. Robbie Lawler, again, lots of losses, tons of wins, just a legend with his cardio, with how hard he went in every single fight. Legends like, I'm sure Stipe Miocic will go down as a legend no matter what happens. These types of fighters who separate themselves from champions because they either have loud personalities or because they do something different than your average UFC champion who holds the belt for X amount of months. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is GOATs, because there is a category in the UFC that distinguishes GOATs from legends. Now, legends are guys who maybe have 10 plus losses, but that just kind of attributes to their legacy. The fact that whether they lost or they won, they came back fighting. No one in the UFC goes 0-10. No legend goes 0-10. A legend will go 25-10. You know what I'm saying? My biggest appreciation for GOATs in this sport right now is the fact that we are living among them. We are walking amongst GOATs, and maybe we don't realize it. But fighters like Daniel Cormier, who have continuously showed the little guy that you can beat up someone who has a bigger reach than you. You can beat up someone who's taller than you. Guys like John Jones, who can come back from adversity, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, or with the law. You can always come back. You can always turn your life around and become a champion again. These types of guys are guys that we need to be looking up to more, because not necessarily because they win fights and they're on TV, but because they are examples of what a greatest of all time really has the potential to be. Final thoughts with Brick. All right. Do you want to